Hi everybody, this video blog is about Tales from the Public Domain Bound by Law, written by Keith Aoki, James Boyle, and Jennifer Jenkins. At first glance, it is obvious that this is not the typical format for college reading material. I thought the comic book format with vivid pictures and word bubbles from the mouths of the characters would be much more fun to read, although it was hard to imagine that it could be serious. But I was definitely wrong. About the serious part, at least. Not about the fun part, because it was actually really fun for me to read. The cover was hilarious, but it really did set up the premise for the article in a very descriptive way. The next thing I noticed was the explanation on the second page that describes the use for which people could make this article. It gives anybody the right to copy or distribute this book for free, as long as you read and follow the terms set forth. I've never seen this in a book or article before, and it made me think that including a statement like this might actually be a good idea, so people know up front whether the author or creator of the creative works will allow you to use it and for what purposes. Obviously, an author cannot limit you to more that the law might allow, but if they don't have a problem with allowing a broader use, then that would be good for them to include. It seems that it would be just a much simpler way for everybody to just add that so it's up front and out there, so you don't have to go through all these, crazy paperwork and contacting the authors. I've always been described as much more of a visual learner, so for me, the comic book format was great. I thought the dialogue was informative, but still simple. When I read this, it made me feel that sometimes authors overcomplicate things. Bound by Law just explained the copyright laws, its history, fair use, and time limitations in ways that made sense. For example, I did not realize that there were expiration dates on copyrights, and once that expiration date passes, a work is in public domain. I had no idea that copyright had, an expiration date. I kind of just thought that copyrights went on forever and didn't ever expire. Anyway, before this article, I had not been familiar to what fair use was at all. I've heard of it, but never knew exactly what it meant, and now I know that it allows a person to make use of copyright works in certain ways. If you remember earlier in the class, I had posted a YouTube video of my friend Tyler Gilton doing a parody of the song Empire State of Mind, called Nassau State of Mind. Without fair use and the ability to write the song, parodies would not have been able to be made, which really is not fortunate, because these parodies are really add a lot to society, and even though Tyler's song didn't get that huge, it was very entertaining and funny, and it would really be a shame if nobody can make these ever because of all of the laws. I also thought that the authors using specific examples, such as referring to actual documentaries and real lawsuits, was extremely helpful. They definitely helped me understand these concepts better by seeing how they were applied in real-life situations. It was also shocking to see what some people would sue over. The fact that EMI could demand $10,000 just because there was a Rocky ringtone in the back of the documentary, that sounds kind of ridiculous, and it really bothers me how some companies are so greedy. You have to think about how the Rocky ringtone was sold to the cell phone company so that they could, some law was made so the cell phone company could use it as a ringtone. So they had to expect that this ringtone was playing everywhere. So I don't know how this documentary just had the ringtone in the background was such a big issue, and it really bothers me how greedy the company was. But anyway, this article also made me think about how we come to the right balance in protecting creative works. It really is a debatable topic because, on one hand, you want people to create works, but you also want the people who do create their works, to be protected. So it's kind of hard to figure out what balance should be. The way that the article was written, I was able to sympathize with Aoki's frustration in trying to figure out what is in the public domain. When she would obtain clearing rates, what is fair use, whether she could use trademarked products, and so on. It definitely is not easy and made me admire filmmakers a lot more. I notice now that after reading this, I've noticed when I watch TV, in almost every film, TV show, anything, even in the newspaper, there are trademarks and brands being shown, and it it really is amazing to me that if you go to make a documentary in specific, how many people you have to contact and how many barriers you have to cross. And it really gave me a new respect for all of these creative writers and filmmakers. There really should be some type of system to make this whole process easier. Copyrights do not protect against ideas. They only protect against expressions of your ideas. So if you hum a tune in your head, that cannot be copyrighted. But if you make a record of that tune in your head, then that can be copyrighted, which really makes sense if you think about it, because you can't copyright a thought. These laws and regulations seem really tedious to me, and it makes me wonder whether these laws and regulations steer people away from creating films, music, books, art, and other creative works. Our society needs to come up with a better balance between what is protected and what is not, or else our society can end up with a world with no culture, which was shown in the stark visual and bound by law. I really enjoyed this article. It gave me a new understanding of the whole world of copyright. I also liked how at the end the authors went into a more serious note and stopped with the comic book, because it really did show us how serious of a subject this is, and it showed how each one of the authors has dealt with all of this in their life and how so many people have to deal with all these laws, and they're really important to learn. And I really gained respect for creative authors and writers and anybody who does creative works from this article.